You can be physically attractive, financially stable, funny, and genuinely kind, and still make people quietly want less of you over time. Not because something is visibly wrong. Not because of a dramatic incident anyone can point to. Because of a small, invisible pattern in your everyday behavior that people feel before they can name it. Today we are going through 8 of them. And I will be honest with you, you are probably doing at least 2 right now. These are not dramatic flaws. Nobody warns you about them in a conversation. Nobody posts about them online in a way that actually reaches the people doing them. They happen in the small, ordinary moments of everyday interaction, at dinner tables, in text conversations, during quiet moments between 2 people who should feel close but somehow do not. The people running these patterns usually consider themselves self-aware. They read the right things. They say the right things. They genuinely want good relationships. And yet something keeps not working, and they cannot figure out why. This video is the answer to that question. Performing emotions you do not actually feel. Think about someone you know who always says the right thing. They laugh at the right moment. They look appropriately sad when something is heavy. They seem warm, responsive, perfectly calibrated. But something feels slightly off when you are around them. You cannot name it. You just feel it. What you are picking up on is the gap between what someone is expressing and what they actually feel underneath. It happens most with people who spent years in environments where real feelings were not welcome, families, relationships, rooms where being okay was not a choice but a requirement. So they learned to perform okayness. And they got very, very good at it. Researchers at the University of Toronto found that people watching strangers interact could sense when someone's expression did not match what was happening underneath. And it registered in under 1 second. Not because they were analyzing anything, just because human beings are wired to detect that gap. We pick it up as a low-grade unease we cannot name. A vague sense that something is slightly off. A feeling that pulls us back without us understanding why. Genuine connection requires 2 real people in the room. Not 1 real person and 1 well-rehearsed performance. The moment someone feels the performance, they stop trusting the person giving it, even if they never say a word about it. Habit 2, needing to win every conversation. Needing to win every single conversation. You share a bad week. They had a worse one. You mention a goal. They have already done it. You offer an opinion. They have 3 reasons why you are wrong. The compulsive need to be right or to be more is one of the fastest ways to make someone feel like an opponent instead of a human being. And here is the part that makes it complicated. Disagreement is not the problem. Healthy disagreement is how people think better together. It is the motivation behind it that changes everything. University of Michigan researchers found that people with a strong need to be right are rated significantly less likable in social settings. Not because anyone consciously identifies the pattern, but because they feel a quiet reluctance to share anything real around that person. Nobody feels truly seen around someone who is always trying to win. They feel like material, like a debate opponent, like someone to be correct rather than someone to be heard. And eventually they stop sharing anything worth arguing about. Not in anger, just quietly. The way people stop doing something when it consistently costs them more than it gives. Habit 3, turning pain into permanent identity. Turning pain into a permanent identity. This one is painful to talk about because it almost always comes from genuine pain. There is a crucial difference between vulnerability and victimhood. People who consistently position themselves as the victim in every story, every job, every relationship, every set of circumstances, are not processing their pain. They are outsourcing it. And slowly, the people around them become responsible for carrying it, without ever agreeing to carry it. A 2020 study tracked how people described their relationship with someone who chronically needed to be seen as the victim. The word researchers kept seeing was not frustrating. It was exhausted, like they had been slowly carrying something they never agreed to pick up and did not know how to put down. Vulnerability pulls people toward you. Victim identity creates emotional debt they never agreed to hold. The difference is not in the pain itself. The difference is in whether the pain is moving or whether it has become a permanent address. Habit 4. Unable to sit in silence. Being unable to sit in silence. This one will probably surprise you, because everything we are taught says confidence means speaking up, filling the room, always having something to contribute. But the compulsive need to always say something, to never let a moment breathe, is anxiety wearing the costume of talkativeness. And people feel the difference even if they never find the words to describe it. The person talking to fill a gap is not engaging with you. They are escaping their own discomfort, and you are just the room it is happening in. Dr. Matthias Mell at the University of Arizona spent years recording real everyday conversations, thousands of hours of them. The exchanges people remembered as most connecting were not the most energetic or the most filled. They had more pauses, more breathing room, more silence. The silence was not empty. It was proof that someone was actually present. Think about the people who make you feel most calm. Most of them are not performing. They are just there. That stillness is not absence. It is the rarest form of attention another person can give you. Habit 5. Who you become when things go wrong. Who you become when things go slightly wrong. It is not the big moments that show people who you are. It is the small ones they cannot stop noticing. Snapping at the waiter when the order is wrong. Visible frustration in traffic on a first date. The low-level irritability that seeps into interactions with people who did nothing to deserve it, just because something else in the day did not cooperate. University College London followed couples across several years looking for what actually predicted long-term unhappiness. It was not the big fights. It was not the deep incompatibilities. It was the small reflexive reactions, the sigh when dinner was not ready, the eye roll at a minor inconvenience, the quiet impatience that surfaces when ordinary life does not go as planned. What people are really watching for, especially early on in any relationship, is not how you act when everything is fine. It is who you become when something goes slightly wrong. That is the data they are quietly using to decide how safe it is to be close to you. And they are collecting it every single time, whether you realize you are being observed or not. Habit 6. Turning every conversation into a scoreboard. Turning every conversation into a scoreboard. You have been to Paris. They went twice. You are running 5 kilometers. They used to do half marathons. You got promoted. Their company gave them a full team. Social comparison is human. It is evolutionary. We have been doing it since the beginning of group living. But there is a version of it that quietly turns every shared moment into a competition the other person did not know they were in. Stanford researchers found that compulsive one-upping does not just make the other person feel small. It cuts the person doing it from genuine connection entirely, because they are never actually present. They are always tracking the score. The people who make you feel most interesting when you talk to them are not thinking about where they rank. They are thinking about you. And the difference between those two orientations is something people feel immediately, even if they never say it out loud. Even if they cannot explain why they leave some conversations feeling seen and others feeling quietly defeated. Habit 7. Sending signals your words never approved. Sending signals your words never approved. Your body is always talking, even when you think you have gone quiet. Most people put all their attention on the words, what they say, how they phrase it, the tone they choose. But the emotional read happens before any of that. The brain processes nonverbal signals first, before your conscious mind has even caught up to the conversation. Picture sitting across from someone who keeps their arms folded, eyes sliding away every time you try to meet them. Nothing has been said yet, but something has already been communicated. Now picture someone holding unblinking, unsmiling eye contact, watching you like you are something to be evaluated rather than someone to be with. Both feel wrong, but in completely different directions. The version that does the most damage is when someone's body is saying one thing while their words are actively saying another. because that is the moment people stop trusting the words entirely. We respond to felt safety before logic ever enters the room. If your body says one thing and your mouth says another, people trust the body every single time, without even knowing they made that choice. Habit 8. Negativity that never moves. Negativity that never moves. Everyone goes through dark periods. Everyone complains. That is not the problem. The problem is negativity that loops, that keeps identifying what is wrong with no real interest in what could be different. The friend who has been unhappy for 2 years but closes off every thought of change. The person who sees everything clearly and does absolutely nothing with the clarity. The one who vents not to process but to stay exactly where they are. You see, Berkeley researchers found that venting with no movement toward change raises cortisol, your primary stress hormone, in both people having the conversation. Not just the one talking, the one listening too. Negativity that loops does not release stress, passes it along. Chronic negativity is not draining because it is dark. It is draining because it is stuck. And spending time around someone who is stuck gradually makes you feel stuck too, whether you realize it or not. People can handle someone going through something. What they cannot handle indefinitely is someone who has made going through something their permanent address. Conclusion. So what do you do with this? If you recognized yourself in something here, that recognition is already useful. Most people move through these patterns without ever once noticing them. The shift does not require a personality overhaul. It does not require a new version of yourself. It starts with one honest question asked in real time. Am I doing this because I genuinely want to, or because something in me needs to? That question, applied honestly in the moments that matter, changes conversations. It changes what you say. It changes what you do not say. It changes how much space you give others and how much space you take for yourself. Real attractiveness, the kind that makes people want to keep coming back, is not about how you look or what you own or how interesting your stories are. It is the feeling someone walks away with when they think, that person actually saw me. That is the whole equation. That is all it has ever been. If this reached something real, leave a comment with the number of the habit that surprised you most. Just the number. And subscribe, because every week on this channel, we go into the parts of human behavior that nobody sits down and explains clearly.